Welcome to my YouTube channel, my podcast. I'm your host and guide, Will Caminada, and I'm here to help you awaken, heal, and expand your consciousness. In today's conversation episode, I had the pleasure to talk to Alex Crockford. Alex is a fitness trainer and the creator of the Crockford fitness app and an actor. His life's mission is to inspire the highest potential in others and to uplift those around him. We talked about his spiritual awakening, what was the catalyst for that awakening. We talked about the similarities between having a fitness practice and a spiritual practice, which you'll find out there are many similarities. And it was just an overall very pleasant conversation about life and growth and expansion. And I feel that you're gonna love this episode. So I hope that you enjoy it. And if you do, please subscribe to my podcast or my YouTube channel and share this episode with that one friend that's gonna love this episode. Enjoy the show. Hi, Alex. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Hey, Will, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm so excited to finally sit down and talk in more depth with you.
Yeah, me too. It's so nice to have you here. And I wanted to provide a space for you to talk about some things that perhaps you don't usually talk about, which is your spiritual awakening and your spiritual practice. Just before we get to that, I'd love for you to just share a little bit about what you do and what inspired you to do what you do, how you got here today, just for the folks that may not know your work.
Yeah, thank you for holding this space, because you're totally right. It's very thoughtful for you to allow me to have a place to talk like this, because on my platforms, I may have to tread carefully because I'm talking to lots of people, and you have to be careful with the fact that my life is predominantly health and fitness, and we know it's very intertwined with spirituality and wellness and everything, which we'll get into, I'm sure. But of course, I can't rampage about all of the things that's happening in my spirituality openly every day. So yeah, I am a personal trainer, creator of my Crockford fitness app. My passion is helping people get fitter and healthier, and hopefully inspire their highest and fullest potential through whether it's me living my fullest potential and going after my dreams, inspiring others, or maybe it's me offering out a high vibration and uplifting others around me. And that is what I love to do every single day through my channels, my social media, and whoever I come across each day. And back years and years ago, at the beginning of my fitness career as a personal trainer, my go-to phrase was like, what's your purpose, or what's your mission here in life? And I had a thing for many years which was I want to inspire people to be fitter, healthier, and happier. And that was like my thing that I said for years and years and years. But throughout my spiritual awakening, or remembering or understanding more about me and the universe and life, that's opened up much broader into what my purpose might be, or my mission might be. And understanding that health and fitness, although important, is this just a category or a pillar or a gateway into what really might be my biggest calling, which is helping people, or helping the world raise the vibration of themselves, live joyfully and happily, and to their highest wellness. And we know that fitness and health is a big part of that. But now I understand that it's so much more than just that.
Yeah.
Which has led me to kind of where I am now, where fitness is a massive part of my career, but I'm taking slow and gradual transitions in my life to go after personally other desires that I have that aren't just fitness, but also start to share parts of my life that aren't just fitness to help connect and resonate with people on a much deeper level as well.
Yeah. And I've been noticing that. And you started talking about like mental health a couple of years ago, and now you're opening up to sharing some, spiritual practice, meditations, stuff that you read and watch, which I love. Dr. Wayne Dyer, Abraham Hicks, stuff that I think you shared something this week. So I can see that you're like slowly expanding your the way you show up.
Yeah, you're right. I have spoken and supported mental health for quite some years, and that seemed the most natural and present way for me to do it, to show my passion that I'm a fitness guy, but I know full well that it all starts in the mind. And that was probably my understanding at that point, that fitness starts in the mind and health starts in the mind. But as that now has expanded into even deeper than that, and thoughts and awareness and consciousness, etc., it's enabled me to maybe talk even further than just mental health, but the things that you mentioned as well. And I'm loving sharing. I find it a bit easier to share my favorite gurus' quotes and advice at the moment than just mine. So that's a nice way in for me at the moment as I navigate my social media.
Yeah. And it's all about the Trinity, right? The body, the mind, and the spirit, and they're not separate, as we know. And just for the people that don't know your work, I just want to say that you have so much content available on Instagram, YouTube, and you've been doing this for a few years, right? How long have you been putting out content?
Yeah, I think probably 2015, 2016 was the time that I really started to commit to social media a lot more. And when I transitioned from physical personal training to online business and my Crockford brand, which then enabled me to really prioritize social media. And like YouTube and videos and Instagram, you know how it is. It's showing up to lots of different platforms to hopefully provide a good service and communicate with lots of people.
I feel like I've only just started though, compared to you.
Yes.
I think that actually I started following you on Snapchat. That was a few years ago. I was actually living.
That shows how many years. Wow.
It was maybe 2016 or 2017. So
yeah, because I haven't had Snapchat for many years, so that shows you're a core follower. Thank you. And it just shows like my spiritual growth, because I think I remember talking to you back when you were following me back then, and maybe your interest in fitness and things like that, and you said come and join my newsletter, or come and check this meditation out or something. And I remember not quite understanding or resonating or connecting what this might be about. But probably a year ago, or 10 months ago, when I started making some quite momentum in my spirituality, your newsletters and your posts would come up, and I'm like, wait, my friend Will is this tribe. And now I can touch back into what he's always been saying and doing, but now I'm in a different place to understand it. And I think that's really important for everybody's spirituality, is that depending on where you are at, things resonate differently with you in your journey, wherever you may be. A few years ago, I didn't understand hardly any of the things that I'm aware to now. So some of the things that you said or somebody else might have said, I might not have understood and would have scrolled past or whatever. But now I'm there listening.
Yeah, I remember that. And thank you. So let's talk about your spiritual awakening then. What was the catalyst for that? What was the moment that you went, oh, something shifted and now I resonate with this content, or I have a bigger, more expanded awareness? Was it a moment specifically, or was it a gradual thing? And I think it's nice that you can share your spiritual awakening journey, because that's something that I always ask my guests, because it definitely inspires other people that might be going through something similar. And then they might realize that, well, that's happening to me too, right? So what was the catalyst for your spiritual awakening?
Yeah, there may be a handful of bigger moments in my life that propelled me to the next moment. However, it was more of a gradual thing. So back when, and really in the past 6 months, it's accelerated, but overall gradual. But 10 years ago, in my early 20s, being a personal trainer, even back then, I've always known this thing inside of me that I couldn't put my finger on. I couldn't explain, but a real deep curiosity. I've always looked up to the stars in wonder. I've always thought there is something else. There is something else. And I've always thought that my wonder seems more than most people's. Like, why is nobody looking out to the stars like I am and having conversations about crazy woo-woo things that people would think I'm really weird about, and trying to find the people that would understand. But thankfully, across the 10 years, or even like when I was in my early 20s, there were these very special people. And I believe that the right people come into our life at the right time to gift us pieces of information or guide you on your path. And whether that's your inner being attracting those people in, or the universe doing its beautiful synchronicities to help each other, I don't know. But I had some lovely people in my life, and still do, that are mini catalysts to guide me in the right direction. I knew back then that I had this burning desire inside of me that personal training was not the big thing of my life that I'm going to sit here and do forever. I've always had a big desire in my life to expand to the next, to the next. I've always been motivated, inspired for the next, always expanding. And it always is connected to helping people, connecting with people, and whilst also developing myself. And there were periods of time where I started to connect more with spirituality, and I was starting to understand and research things of like law of attraction. And I read The Secret, I watched the little movie, and that was probably as deep as my understanding went. But even so, I listened to people like Tony Robbins, who is like, understands all of this stuff, but is maybe a bit more motivational speaker type, hard-edged stuff, not totally like the things I'm listening to now. And that was a great foundation for me to start using law of attraction to manifest so many great things that happened in my early 20s, like becoming a fitness model and getting magazine covers and getting the next job and the next opportunity. And these things started to happen. But that's as deep as my understanding went. But I knew that there was more. But I'll tell you the truth, over a few years after that, and building my business and social media, I regressed slightly into the hard work, the action, the stress, and lost touch with some of those things which I really utilized and really connected with. And yeah, a few years of just lots of stress and working hard. And it was really only, I knew that I wanted to kind of get out of it, but I wasn't seeing any light. I wasn't seeing any pull in the right direction until maybe about a year or a year and a half ago, where talking to my best group of friends, that we have quarterly meetups and stuff, and we're open to having very great conversations and honest conversations. And one of them shared I think the gateway back in was a Bob Proctor video, and I went in there, and this new rabbit hole of snowball effect of me going back into that world happened. And it was like, oh, I remember doing all of this and understanding all of this. But the only thing is that I got to where I was before and just started swimming way deeper and opened up into understanding and remembering so much more. And that was, only a year and a half ago. And then from there, I've been in contact with some incredible people and friends that have either come into my life or the right video, the right podcast, and the curiosity inside of me has enabled me to keep learning and understanding so much more about spirituality and the universe. And I feel like there's no end in the learning, even now after, I'm sure there will be no end. But the crazy thing is that for anyone may not may not really connect with spirituality or the woo woo weird stuff that most normal people think that's a load of rubbish. When I hear it or somebody speaks to me about something, it's the truest, most realist thing that I've ever heard. It's the thing that's been calling me for years and years and years. When somebody has agreed or told me that, your inner being is speaking to you, your intuition is there, they've always been there, or many other things, it's all sounded like, I remember, this is very, very real. Maybe to somebody else it's complete science fiction, and for me that felt like it's completely true. And then from there, once you open your mind up, so many incredible synchronicities and things have been happening since.
It's because I think it starts to resonate like deeply, and resonation is this. It's like there's a sound frequency here, another sound frequency here, and you just know it. They just speak right to each other. And I love that actually you started sharing the story, saying you were questioning things like looking at the sky and just questioning. And I always say that one of the first steps, if not the first step to spiritual awakening, is the questioning. And I think that over the last couple of years, a lot of people started questioning a lot of things because of the situation in the world. And if anybody's listening and having those questions, it doesn't have to be necessarily, is there life after death? Or, are there aliens? It can just be like, am I happy doing what I'm doing? Do I feel like there's another place for me to live? Am I happy in this relationship? I would say questioning is the beginning. And I love that you described that once you open up to it, then you start to, it's almost like there's a whole library of information, right, that you didn't know exist. and then you feel like, huh,
Yeah,
right?
like all of this was here the whole time, all the potential answers to these questions that I have. Of course, you've got to be careful with the internet and and what you watch, but it seemed like I just opened up this library of answers to the deep questions and curiosity that I've always had, and thinking, wow, I'm not the only one, and I'm not just not the only one, but it's way, way, way bigger than all of that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you mentioned your group of friends and the lovely people that surround you, and I think that's really important. And you're fortunate to have people around you that, even if they don't understand, they will support you. But also sometimes, and that's very common, to have people that are also teachers and guide, but they're not necessarily what you would say they're the best people in your life. You know, sometimes it's that person that broke your heart, right? Or something that happens, like for instance, for myself, when I was 8 years old, my dad passed away overnight. So it was a loss of a loved one. And that's when I started questioning, like, is there life after death? You know, where is my dad? You know, and I started really going to these very deep questions for an 8 year old. So it was a painful situation. And usually the pain is the teacher too, like the what we call the dark night of the soul. You know, some people might be going through this, some kind of loss, some kind of grief. Was there anything in your journey that it seemed very painful or negative, and then today you're able to look back and see it as a teacher or as a catalyst for that awareness?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great to have that awareness. It's tough at the time. It's obviously much easier afterwards, looking backwards. But if you have the awareness during a tough time that, wow, this is a teacher of some form, and the tough things I'm going through right now is giving me some wisdom in this life experience to take forward with me. And yeah, I can think of a few things that have happened in my life that have been difficult, and I know that they've helped me progress forwards in my life. Looking back at them, I know what potential lessons might have been entangled in that, and how it's enabled me to move forwards and learn from those experiences. But I also think it really helps to, and maybe you can help me, is when you are more aligned with your inner self, or aligned with source energy, and a higher vibration, and being positive, that more opportunities and guides comes into your experience. So I remember all those years ago that I was really quite a positive force, always motivated for the next, always looking at life in a positive way. And these people came into my life and guided me in those moments. And I'm wondering, when you are more aligned, are you more inclined to receive these guides to help you push forwards into your life, compared to, say, if you are vibrating at a more negative energy, maybe you connect with other negative people in the world, and you're not pushed forwards into expansion?
Yeah, I think it varies from story to story. I think that sometimes, especially when so if you're going through a painful moment, or something that you think it's negative, and you don't have that awareness, it's going to be more difficult, because you feel like you're caught up in your drama for the rest of your life, right? And that negativity will just eat you up. But And even when you have the awareness, sometimes you feel like you're stuck. But I guess the difference is when you're connected with your heart, when you're aligned, you have tools as well to get out of it, to feel the emotions, to feel whatever you're feeling, and then allow yourself to go through that period knowing that it's not going to be forever, that it's a temporary thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah, like you said, about actually feeling the emotions of the time rather than burying or hiding or pushing it aside, but going through the pain or the struggle with compassion with yourself, with an open heart, and love for yourself and the people around you the best you can, then you should know that you'll be going through out the other side and this pain will be behind you.
definitely. And I think people around you definitely help you, but I see them as mirrors, really. If you're not open to see what they're showing to you, then you're just gonna stay in your stress, in your drama. So you
That's
were
been one of the biggest lessons for me, is realizing that your experience around you and the people around you are a reflection of the energy that you're putting out. And whether you walk down the street and what you see, or the person that you live with or your partner, it's a big lesson, isn't it? And I had a beautiful moment the other day. I was really having a great morning. I was feeling fantastic. I'd done my morning manifestation and mindfulness time. I went to the gym, and I'm new at this gym where I am in Malaga. I'd only been there a couple of weeks, and I saw a girl injure herself, and nobody seemed to notice. Only me. Because I know when somebody has a back spasm, I've had them many times before. I know what it looks like. I heard a little whelp, and I saw nobody else around her do anything, but she was trying to put her weights away with great pain. I was like, no, I'm English and my Spanish isn't very good yet, but I didn't want it to stop me from going over and saying, are you okay? Let me put my weights away for you. Gave her, put her weights away for her, and gave her some advice on what to do with a back spasm and things like this. And it was just such a lovely moment, because it's so nice to be nice. It's such a great feeling to know that you're helping someone, and to see how much it helped her, because she was really struggling to put her weights away and she just injured herself. I was feeling great. I went upstairs. I went on the cross trainer to do my cardio, and then I just looked outside and I saw somebody picking up some money from the floor because they noticed somebody had just dropped it. And then I looked somewhere else and I saw another beautiful thing happen. So it just kind of opened up this realization of kindness and beauty. And when you resonate there, you start to see more of it, whether you're just noticing more or whether it's coming into your experience more. I'm unsure, but it was a great morning for me because I was super aware of what was showing up around my life.
Yeah, so true, so true. And I guess that comes from the practice, right? The practice of being the love, spreading kindness. Let's talk a little bit about your spiritual practice. So how has this been for you? What do you do? And I notice you're sharing more of like your practices in the morning.
Well, it's a good question, because I've been one of those beginners, one of those guys that knows meditation is great, and still did it and then didn't do it for ages, says I should really do it, and then procrastinated and didn't do it for ages, and just didn't really have that ability to get consistent for a long time. And even though I knew it was great and that I wanted to carry that energy with me, but I guess I didn't fully know what benefit I was getting in the moment. Maybe I was being a classic beginner and thinking, okay, I've done that, So am I enlightened? Am I ready? And it was, again, when I was building momentum in all of this last year, about September, October time, I said, that is it. It is time to commit to this. And I'm a person where I can't do it here and there. It's a daily or nothing kind of thing, just like my fitness, just like my nutrition. It's daily or nothing. So I said, it's time to do daily meditation. No ifs, no buts. If you miss it here and there, who cares? But daily, the best you can. So I started to do a daily meditation, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. And at the beginning, I noticed that I was, enjoying the meditation, but I hadn't connected that meditation to the rest of my life. So, like you said, through the practice, I would very easily finish the meditation, separate that part of my day as like a job done tick, but I would easily be very stressed 2 hours later and be judging somebody 2 hours later, and scrolling Instagram and feeling really anxious later on. So I'd like lost the connection that I'd made in meditation. But as soon as I became aware that the meditation is powerful and wonderful, but you have to find a way to be in that meditative state that you're learning and connecting for the whole of your day, the best that you can. And then I think most of the time what's happening in my spiritual journey is an initial awareness. And then once the awareness is there, you have like this overview of your thoughts. Rather than your thoughts are thinking you're observing your thoughts. And that's what I feel started to happen. It's like, oh, wait, why am I doing this? Oh, I see. And then that's when I started to make changes. So now I feel that because I'm meditating every day, I'm reminded so much more about my day-to-day experiences of, oh, wait, why am I really stressed right now? Breathe, take a moment, what's stressing me out? Or I just judged that person. Why am I being mean to that person instead of showing them love? And that is now starting to overtake my life a little bit more, and merging into more and more of my life experience and the people that I talk to, and the people that I used to be jealous of, or the ones that would trigger me because of my envy or something. Even that, I think that's a very powerful emotion that a lot of us suffer with on these days about, I don't know, followers or money or career or relationship or anything. But even them, starting to internally show them love and be proud of the journey that they're having has like been so soothing for me, and jealousy and things like that. And these little things I'm starting to notice. So now that I'm most of the time doing 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night, I crave more because I feel 10 minutes isn't enough. And I'm like, oh, I've just started to relax. So I'm at that stage where I'm looking to increase. I find in the morning, I'm motivated for the day. So I find in the morning, I love to do more of a manifestation type creativity workshop rather than a clearing my head time. So I enjoy putting on some nice music, not a guide, and having fun in my mind and going places and creating scenarios and everything. And often I feel this disconnection from my body and can't feel my fingers. And I want to ask you questions about what we're capable. Are we capable of individual gifts? Can we all do the same things? What are the stages of I don't know, disconnection from our physical body into a non-physical world, and astral travel, or all of these various things. But I've felt the initial stages of feeling above my body and kind of pulling myself out. And I sometimes wonder, if I open my eyes now, am I going to be looking down my body? Because I feel I feel meters above it. So it's this beautiful, lovely feeling. And I sometimes get that in the evening as well. So my evening practice is more of a mind release, relax, clear the head, calm down, help the sleep, and breathe, relax, de-stress, rather than creating and manifesting. And that's a nice routine that I've managed to get myself into, but I'm looking for more.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful, surprising journey. And what you're saying is like, I'm curious as to how far I can go. That's the joy. That's what's going to keep you in the practice, because some things shifted in you already, and you are definitely a disciplined person given your years of fitness. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, we're going to talk about the similarities, but we've all been there. I've been there years ago when I tried to meditate once for like 10 minutes, and I thought, okay, what is this? Like, nothing happened, and then gave up. It's kind of the same thing of like going to the gym once a month and feeling good, but not being consistent, or not even feeling like there's something shifting. But when you get it, it's like you want more. It's like you're craving to go to the gym. Nobody needs to motivate you. Nobody needs to tell you go to the gym. Like, you want to go. Like, you wake up and you're like, today I'm gonna hit legs.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same. Like, you wake up and you're like, today I'm gonna meditate and I'm gonna visualize what I want for my life. And I remember years ago when I was also like looking for meditations and talks on YouTube. There was this guy on Oprah, I forgot his name, but he just said something that really clicked for me, which was, he said, when I go meditate, I just sit and I just tell my angels or my spirit guides, like, surprise me, like, take me wherever you want to take me. Take me wherever I'm ready to go. And then he would just stay there and surrender to this practice. And I remember something clicked within me as too when I heard that, because then I started doing that. Like, I would wake up and meditate, play my music. I still do. And I guess the same thing with the fitness journey. You start developing other areas as well and wanting to try different things. Like, you might do a Zumba class or a yoga class, just to see if you like it.
Yeah.
So let's
talk about this all the time. I separate motivation and inspiration quite a lot. And that motivation is often a push to get over what feels like a burden. Meditation at the beginning felt like a burden. Going to the gym and working out for most people feels like a burden. If you got that initial motivation, you can push through that task of the day and get it done. But inspiration is the burden's gone. I am pulled. I am deeply attracted to wanting to do this task now. I don't need motivation. I want to do this because I feel the benefit. I love doing it. And that's the same in fitness. And it's now in the evening for me in meditation, or the morning when I'm meditating. Before, it felt like a burden, like, oh, I don't quite have time. Can I squeeze it in? And I might find a little excuse with myself to realize I can just bypass that for the day. But now it's like, oh no, I really want to do it. I want to do it. And it's exactly that. You nailed it on the head. It's exactly that feeling.
And for anyone who's listening or watching and they're thinking, yes, I tried to meditate. I tried a couple of times, but I just don't get it. I can't seem to find the time, or whatever they're thinking. What would you tell them? What advice would you tell them?
Similar to what you just said about that guy, asking his guides for a surprise, because that immediately lets go of resistance. And for those of you at the beginning of your spiritual journey or curious to find out more, what I'm learning now is if I keep asking for something and don't get it or expect it and want it and expect it. That's putting up a wall between you receiving it, because it's a resistance. If you're more attached to the fact it's not happening, then it's going to keep not happening. And I noticed that when I would sit down to meditate and be like, right, this is going to be the most amazing meditation. I'm going to ask them to move my arm. And I'll be there like, move my arm, move my arm. Can you move? Hasn't happened yet. I'm sure it will when I say, surprise me and open up and let go. So I think anybody starting their meditation, let go of all expectations, almost all desires, and enjoy the music, focus on something, enjoy relaxing. And over time, you might start to feel something happening, enjoy it, and feel like you want to talk or communicate with whoever you feel in touch with. So yeah, go in with very, very little resistance to your strong desires.
Do you
but
feel
still
like,
have desires?
yeah. And do you feel like those guided meditations or like challenges, like the Deepak 21 day challenge, or I have a challenge, do you think these things have a help?
I think a guide certainly helps for a beginner, for even a non-beginner. Having a guide certainly helps, because if you're a beginner meditator and you don't know what to do, there's sometimes nothing worse than sitting down to silence or just music and sitting there and closing your eyes and hoping or thinking about not thinking, and then getting annoyed that you're thinking.
Anxious.
And we know that that's not what it's about. So being guided through the process and having a focus for the day, and having periods of silence in that guide, I think is the best way to go. And I do it every single day as well, and have used yours as well, Will. So thank you.
Likewise, I've used your workouts, especially when I have home workouts, which don't really work for me, but I tried. And so let's talk a little bit about like the similarities between having a fitness practice and a spiritual practice. I mean, I always use that analogy of, you go work out, you nurture your body, and it's the same with your mind and your emotions and your spirit. And like we said, it's like if you go once a month, it's not going to do much. It's like the consistency of it. And sometimes it's really just an attitude of like, just do it, right? Don't overthink, just go to the gym or just sit, set the timer for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or get a guide. What are some of the similarities that you can think of?
I think you mentioned that the most obvious and critical one about consistency and doing it. We know that doing one thing now and again isn't going to lead to the best results in fitness or in spirituality. So getting that consistency every single day, or as often as you can, is going to build the momentum and move you closer or further along the journey, always. But at the same time as that consistency, you have to practice patience as well, and knowing that even though you have a desire, you have a goal, and you may know exactly what that goal is with clarity, which is good to have the desire and work backwards from achieving the desire in both fitness and spirituality. However, the patience along the journey is really, really important, and to not get frustrated with, I'm going every day and now nothing's happening. Just keep doing it every day and see where you get with that patience. But at the same time, you can't be patient unless you're not enjoying it either. So there has to be ways to enjoy the everyday, because we're not at our desire we're not at our goal for very long in the process. We might get there every 100 days, or what, depending on what the goal is. And then you're there for one day and you have a new goal. So that shows that the journey is the destination. We are on our journey, and that is our goal right here, right now, on the journey. We have to enjoy that process in fitness and in spirituality and in life. You have to enjoy the day-to-day action and experience of it. And another similarity is failure, is the lessons along the way, is the falling off, the messing up, the getting it wrong. And when you do this, you take a lesson, like you said, about the pain that we've maybe felt in the past in our spiritual journey or in our life often gives us a great lesson. And in fitness, when we get injured, it's the worst annoying thing, but often it's due to a weakness or doing something wrong or a technique that's bad or following someone you shouldn't done or something like that. And you hopefully take those failures and mishaps as wisdom for the future, so that you don't do the same thing again. You just mess up on something else. But each time, every failure gives you more wisdom for more expansion and getting further along the way. So as long as you see the mini mess ups as a positive thing along the journey and frame them in a positive way, then that's a perfect path for improvement in spirituality and fitness.
Yeah, the pain is the catalyst for growth, like literally, right? Like for muscle growth. You feel
that is literally it. Exactly. If you want to build muscle, you have to tear the muscle fibers. You have to do the damage. That is it.
Yeah, and when you're in it, like you might think that this is tiring, I can't do it anymore, right? I'm sweating, like I don't have that strength in me, but you just keep going, then you get the benefits afterwards. And it's very similar as well, especially when we're talking about the healing journey too. It's like sitting with your pain or sitting with the negative thoughts or the negative emotions. Most people are afraid to meditate, or it might not even be conscious, but they don't want to go meditate because they have to stay with themselves. Like they have to stay quiet with their thoughts, with their emotions, with their memories, with their traumas. And that's painful, right? And nobody likes to feel the pain, but if you do the practice of staying with your pain, you will grow and you will heal emotionally, physically, spiritually.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think so much of what I'm learning and understanding with mental health and things like that is that fear of wanting to spend time with yourself in your own head, and that fear to quieten your surroundings, so that is the only place to go. Hence why we spend a lot of time on social media or put some rubbish TV on when we're alone to be distracted. But going into meditation and spending some alone quiet time with yourself is, it's difficult if you have things to heal and traumas to deal with. But you're right, growth is only done by going through that. Of course, you don't need to dig up the past if it's gone and not really affecting you necessarily. But if there's things acutely there with you right now, often you have to sit with this pain and be there with it, with no judgment, and feel it. It's like grief and things like that. I'm very lucky to have not lost anyone close to me recently, but I lost we lost our dear Pickles, our cat, and it was extremely excruciating because we were in Spain and we knew that our 1 year in Spain there was a risk with Pickles, and it was just heart-wrenching. Any pet owners know the pain, but the pain of not being there with them.
It's love, right? Regardless of whether it's a person or a pet, it's love.
Yeah, exactly. And this was all happening with the momentum that I was building in my spirituality. So it was a big knock in the positive journey I was making. And it was a challenge. It was a rock in the road for me to deal with, of a lot of pain there in the moment. And I think I got some lessons from it, but also realized that I had to sit with it and cry and breathe into it and talk about it and feel every part of it. And now it helps me because you see it only with positivity and love afterwards, once you've done the work.
Yeah, and it's like with positivity is also exploring the other side of it, because otherwise we can bypass, we call it spiritual bypass or positivity bypass, which is you don't want to acknowledge the pain, you don't want to acknowledge the sadness because you think that's negative, but actually it's important to acknowledge it so that you can go back to your positivity. It's kind of like a dance. And it's funny because I remember this guy a few years ago at the gym in when I was living in London, and he had been a bodybuilder, and we were working out together, and he helped me a lot. Like, he taught me a lot of things that I do today at the gym. But I remember him saying that I also have to focus on the negative movement, because we have the positive movement, right? When we're doing like bicep curls, we have the positive and we have the negative. And the negative is actually more important sometimes depending on the exercise. And then I remember thinking, yes, you got to focus on the negative sometimes, you know?
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love how you've always had this way of connecting the gym to life and spirituality. It's brilliant. And there's so many connections. And it's why I've always spoken about the gym and the mindset that you need to acquire from your fitness journey, and how many life lessons there are from once you get fit and once you work out and once you make it a habit. Oh, it really affects so much of your life because it teaches you so much.
Yeah.
I've got a couple more things. I've remembered another one. One is focusing on your journey and nobody else's. Because in fitness, that's absolutely critical. When you're at the gym and you see somebody lifting way more than you, or has an incredible physique that you wish that you'd had, if it creates a positive response in you, then great, nice inspiration. But more often than not, it creates a negative feeling inside of, I wish that I had, or I wish that I had this. But once you focus on you and yourself and going from where you are now to where you want to be, and that personal progress is all that matters. This is all that matters. And it helps free you up completely, because like, this is where I am. This is what I got. This is how strong I am. This is where I am in the journey. And if I'm doing a bit better tomorrow, then that's success. That is winning. And is that similar in spirituality?
Absolutely. It's like loving yourself and accepting where you are, and looking at other people. I think it can be a good inspiration, right? Like, I look at, I don't know, Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I'm like, I would like to be like that one day, to have that level of awareness, but more of as an inspiration rather than I'm jealous of him.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with fitness. It's harder though, I think, because it's physical, right? And you look at people with amazing bodies and you're like, I'm not there. I'm like, I might never be there, you know? And I think if you look at them for inspiration, it's definitely a good thing, because then you have role models. But not, it's easy to fall into the trap of like, I'm not there, I'm never going to be there, why am I doing this kind of thing, you know? So then the mental health comes into play.
Yeah. Now, my final one is a bit of a question as well. And that is that we all have our own individual gifts and abilities. Maybe I'll never be able to do the splits, but I will be able to do a fantastic barbell clean and press or something like this. And if you focus on your strengths and the gifts that you've been given, then that's one thing to focus on, rather than worrying necessarily about the things that don't appeal to you or that you're not very good at. In spirituality, are we all given, because we're all from the same consciousness, are we all given the same abilities in spirituality? Or I've seen many of your posts about the different clairs and the clairaudience and etc. Are we more inclined to be better at some things than others?
Yes. Yes. As you were speaking, I also thought of the differences, the different things, activities, the different things that you can do within the fitness world and in the spiritual world as well. Because a lot of people might think that fitness is just lifting weights at the gym. And a lot of people might think that spiritual practice is just meditation and there's just one type. Like I have to be here quiet for half an hour. And it's not. Like in fitness, if you don't like lifting, which is what you said, like you have to enjoy what you're doing, right? If you don't like lifting weights, then do something else, do yoga or Zumba class or run, right? There are so many options. And it's the same with spirituality. There are different types of meditation. There are different modalities that you can try, experiment with: breath work, sound healing, chanting, so many things that you can do. And equally with the gift, yes, we have, I believe that we have the capacity to do anything we want, because it's in our DNA, like not in our original DNA. We have that power within us, but we also are unique beings. And so we might have been giving unique gifts to share, the same way that, maybe you want to be a fitness trainer, and that's how you want to inspire the world. Someone else wants to be a doctor or a lawyer. It's something that they're feeling, a call that they're picking up. So yes, and it's the same. I guess it's the same with our body parts too. Like you might think that your legs are really strong, but your chest is not. It's not really strong. Like we all have that, and I think that's another similarity. Like usually, if you want to grow, if you want to improve, whether it's physically or spiritually, I think that it's when you have the awareness, then you focus on the things that you want to work on. Like if you feel like your shoulder is not the strongest one, then maybe you'll do more of a shoulder workout, right? But when it comes to the clairs, yes, it's just like our physical senses too. Like maybe you see really well, but you don't smell really well, right? And it's the same thing, like trying to develop all of them. It's kind of like, I need to wear glasses, but I'm not happy about that. So I want to see better without glasses. No, just wear your glasses and then focus on the other senses that are strong for you.
Yeah. And can I ask, when it comes to things like channeling and receiving information or vibration from source or your inner being or higher self, etc., how some people will be able to have very clear thought translated for you, or whether some people it's more of a strong intuition and gut feeling rather than clarity, or whether it comes through written form and you put your hand to paper and the list goes on. I'm wondering, mostly for myself as well as everybody else's journey, is I feel like with my meditation I'm getting better at understanding what is a thought that's been given to me with intuition, or whether I'm really just ego thinking. I mean, it's very difficult to the crossovers are difficult, but I'm wondering if I continue and improve, is that going to get clearer and clearer? And maybe I'll be able to channel real clear thought.
Yeah, you got the answer in your question. It is like that. And practicing and trying different things like journaling, maybe you can start writing things that you're not really conscious of, and then when you read it you're like, well, that's a message for me. um, Feeling when it's an intuition, it's that gut feeling more than your ego mind. And I guess it's the same with, maybe it's the same with fitness. It's you build the muscle, and the muscle itself has memory, right? You build that muscle memory, and then you have a stronger core, you have a stronger biceps, because you've been practicing, because you've been working out. And like I said, you can try different things to see what resonates most with you, especially if you're like at your level, that you're experimenting with different things. It's great because it's exciting. It's kind of like going to the gym and like, what class am I going to do today? There are so many options, like there's so many so much equipment that I can try, right?
That's it. That's how I'm feeling. That's how I feel when I go to a new gym or a big gym, but it's definitely how I feel with my spirituality at the moment.
Yeah. And equally in the journey as well, you might feel like it's going to change, because let's say you're doing your bench press, you've been doing it for 20 years, but then now you just want to change it up. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, just to see what else I can do. Because you've learned that this is good, that you're good at it. And it's the same with your spiritual practice. You know, you might feel like you don't really want to meditate in the evening anymore. You want to do something else. You might feel like you want to write and start channeling and practicing that skill, because it's a skill.
This is really important.
Skill, like the fact that you want to channel, you're already being open to that, and then it's just a matter of practicing and developing the skill, just like fitness.
I think being open to it, like you said, is really important, and being open to changing things up in the future is important as well, because for most of us, building a habit is great, but you can very easily get just caught in the habit of doing something. So what if I that's what I noticed about, maybe I should increase my 10 minutes further on beyond, because I thought maybe I'm just in a habit and I'm not actually fully taking it. I'm just taking it for granted a little bit rather than pushing myself or trying something new. So having that awareness and being open to switch things up and grow in different directions is important. And one thing that came to my head when you were talking there is that now that I'm becoming more conscious of all of this, I'm realizing that it's always been there. And for anybody that's kind of waking up and being more spiritual now, you'll start to realize this too, is that you'll look back in your past, in your life, and be like, I was being guided there. I had that connection then. But back then I called it something else. I might have said, I just had this gut feeling, I just knew that was the right thing to do. Or I knew that was wrong and I did it anyway. Or these things that we as humans say, but later on realize that was guidance in some form and it's always been there. Or I knew that I'd left my keys there. I just, or anything. And this actually brings me to a really funny thing that happened only yesterday, and I'll stop talking in a minute, is that I remember somebody saying that you can ask for help at any point. You've got communication with infinite intelligence. Ask for help at any point. And I was in the kitchen yesterday, and people that are good in the kitchen are going to probably be annoyed at me now, because I was like for 10 minutes trying to open this jar. And it just wasn't open. It was tougher than my workout. My shoulder was dislocating. My biceps were pumping out. 10 minutes, didn't know what to do. And it just wasn't opening. So with great joy and frustration and just letting go, I was like, help me, what shall I do? And I called upon my guides, just for a bit of a joke, really, for a bit of fun. And I put it down on the table, and within a second, I didn't even think twice. It was just almost like I barely had control of my body. I picked up the knife, and used the back end, not the sharp end, and just stabbed it on the top, not the sharp end, just like pumped the top, picked it up and turned it and opened it. And I was just like, wow, thank you. Because I didn't think maybe I should do this. I didn't think for 5 seconds I should try that. I spent 10 minutes twisting it and I never thought of trying that. Mm-hmm. I even tried using the knife and unlocking it underneath, and still didn't try that. But I asked for help, and I was just instantly, intuitively, gut instinct, without a second thought, picked up the knife, did that, picked it up and opened it. And I felt like it was a connected moment. And anybody that's not spiritual will be like, that's a coincidence. That's just a funny moment. And maybe it is. But the more things like this that happen, you realize that there's less and less coincidences and more connected moments.
Yeah, and you also start to seeing the depth or the bigger picture. I don't know. I see everything from that perspective. So like, as you're saying this, telling the story, I'm thinking many times we rely on our strength, like our physical strength, or we think that we are the ones that have to sort everything out because we are relying on our individual strength. But our strength lies within, like way deeper than our physical, right? So you had that insight that came to you. It didn't really require much physical effort, but you were there.
That's made
right? So yeah, that's a lesson there, and that's a beautiful thing. When you have that awareness, you start seeing the lessons in the smallest of things, or the coincidence.
And this makes me realize, sorry, one last thing, makes me realize of, those few years I spoke about where I was just working hard, late nights, early mornings, work, building Crockford, working hard on social media. Everything was effort. And I'd connected my success with effort, hard effort. And the personal work I'm doing now, after hundreds of hours of listening to Abraham Hicks and many others, is you've got to let go of the hard work and the effort. If it's inspired action, then go and do the action. Nothing's going to happen without you taking the action. But there's a very difference between you just working your ass off to make success happen and letting it flow into your reality from an inspired place, allowing it in.
Are you a Capricorn?
No.
Because
I am guessing 11 more. Oh, you're a Capricorn.
Yeah, and we are hard workers like that. So it's something that I'm learning as well to not.
And you said you were 7 years old when this began. Has that been continuous till now? How long have you been becoming more and more spiritual? That many years?
Well, I go back to that just to illustrate that when things happen and you're going through grief, you start questioning. For me, that is when the spiritual awakening happens, even though you might not have the awareness then. But for me, there was a long time of this disconnection, I want to say, especially like through my 20s. And then for me, what really changed was the practice of meditation and the daily practice. And because I am a Capricorn and we are very determined and we like to commit and we like to do the work, it was
true. Yeah.
It was kind of easy to start it because I just said, I'm going to do it every day, 5 minutes. And after a few tries before, but once I committed, and it developed from there. So, but I understand that equally with fitness, that sometimes it's not just a matter of like, I'm going to go and do it. We have a lot of things different personalities, different star signs, and different lifestyles. But the commitment, I think it's really important. But also, I think that when something shifts, it's like there's no going back, right?
Right. Oh, totally. Once you understand certain things and you've remembered certain things, there's no way you can shrink your consciousness back to how you were.
Yeah.
It's no way.
Yeah. And I think it's the same with fitness. When something clicks, it becomes a lifestyle. And so I have a question about this, because like a lot of people in the spiritual community, a lot of people that I work with, they might be very much connected spiritually. They might have their spiritual practice and be super committed, but it can also happen that we disconnect with our bodies, with our human selves. We might become ungrounded. I mean, it's happened to me a few years ago. What advice would you give to those people that might be listening or watching and they feel like, yes, I'm connected, I have my spiritual practice, but I want to feel more in my body? Because I also believe that at the end of the day, even your fitness practice is a spiritual practice, right? Because you're like honoring this body, honoring your temple. So what advice would you give to anyone who wants to have that connection with their bodies too?
Yeah, I think you opened it up perfectly with a couple of things there, and that is that if you are entirely spiritual and more leaning on the mindfulness side without your body, it's realizing that true wellness is a 360 approach of mind, body, spirit, and honoring all these things and respecting all of these things if you want the best connection. And we are in this physical experience whilst we are mostly non-physical, but whilst we're in this physical experience, it's only going to help your spirituality when you are more grounded in your body, so that you can be non-grounded at times as well. And I often refer to diet as well, because diet, of course, is food, but not just food. I'm talking the diet of all your consumption. What do you consume in your TV, your phone, your social media, what you listen to, who you spend your time with? You're consuming it all, but also your diet. If you want the best connection, actually, the higher your vibration, the better connection you're going to have in your spirituality. And food has vibration. So if you're eating junk food and crap food and alcohol, these are all low vibration foods, and you're going to struggle to find that connection in your spirituality. But if you have higher vibration foods, all the healthy vegetables and plant-based foods, you're going to have a much better approach with that. So that's one way of respecting your consumption, and your diet is going to help. But also in your body, I think so many of the similarities that we spoke about today answers this. But just to kind of suggest again is the challenge, the work of pushing yourself a little bit, getting out of breath. It's all this connection with your body, and breath is life. And when you are out of breath from running really hard or doing 100 burpees, you've never felt more alive than these moments. And if you want more connection with yourself and to feel alive, then it's at the end or during the hardest workout of your life that you feel most alive. I have once done this very, very hard challenge. In fact, I've done many hard challenges, but one tough challenge was a 24-hour burpee challenge, which I was fit for, but nowhere near fit enough. So it was a very, very bad day. And when I was in utter physical pain, I was oddly thriving in the weirdest way, and maybe it's not for everyone, but the people around me were saying, how come you were so funny and sarcastic and witty when you were in so much physical pain? And for some reason, I never felt so alive. I needed to sleep. I needed to sit and do nothing, but a real connection with myself, even if it's the pain or whatever. But I also learned a lot of lessons that we're capable of so much. And if you're going to explore what you're capable of in your spiritual mind and consciousness, why would you not want to see what you're truly capable of physically as well, to round it all up?
Yeah, we go back to mind, body, and spirit. They're not disconnected.
Yeah. And
Alex,
just to round that up,
is that talk? You're the guest, please.
Sorry. And because of this transition I'm kind of slowly making on my social media, and to obviously honor the people that I've brought to my community in fitness and in health, I'm becoming more spiritual, but I'm also, we don't need to talk about this, but looking to be an actor and do much more outside of fitness. So I had to really sit down and think, what does like my Instagram bio look like? What does my top line Alex Crockford thing look like? And I thought for many weeks about what that, and it's still an ongoing process, but it could be very cliche, but mind, body, spirit, or mind, body, soul, or whatever is just the perfect thing. And it feels cliche, but I can't think of anything else more perfect that aligns with me, because I see the connection between these things. And once you respect and commit to these categories, you will thrive and expand in your life in many ways.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want to do. I want to fulfill my highest potential and my personal human desires, as well as my reasons for coming here as well. Yeah. At the same time as hopefully uplifting others to realize that they can do what the hell they want and achieve anything that they want in their life, whilst I hopefully show them.
Yes, beautiful. And you are doing it. And we are multi-dimensional beings and multi-potential beings as well. So I understand that it's hard sometimes when, you think that society wants you to be one thing, like to put you in one box, but you want to do more things. You want to be more things, because that's just human nature, right? And so you awakening and expanding, there are many avenues that you can go to, even like in the future, and that's freeing, I think, to think that know that you can do and be anything that you want, and you're more and more connected with that multi-dimensionality. I have one last question for you that I always ask my guests. It's called 3 Truths. So it's kind of fun and deep. So imagine in many years from now, you're about to make the transition from this physical life into the spiritual realm, and everything that you've done, all of the things you've done are going to be deleted. Like all the work you've done, all your Instagram posts and your app and your books or films that you're going to make. And then you have one piece of paper in your hand and a pen, and you can write 3 truths. And that's your legacy. That's what's going to leave on from you. What would you write on this piece of paper? What are your 3 truths?
Wow. It's like when hearing about that Alexandria library that got burnt down thousands of years ago, that had all the secrets of our thousands years of history. Imagine that. Well, I think love and kindness is everything. is one. Coming back to love and kindness. Secondly, is that everything you need to know, everything that you need and want is inside of you, or everywhere. It's within. And lastly, that let's finish on a funny one. If I've just left from physical world into non-physical, maybe saying that I'm coming back. I'm coming back for another life to do it all over again in my next opportunity.
That's beautiful.
That's about it.
Beautiful. Alex, I want to acknowledge you for your genuineness and commitment to inspire people and to your mission. And thank you for being here, for your authenticity, for opening up and sharing your experiences. I have a feeling that there's a lot of expansion coming from you, and I'm excited to witness how you grow and your business and your work and everything that you do. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me and holding this space. I don't get to talk like this very often, so I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for anybody that's watching. For those of you that are or listening, for those of you that are my followers that have never heard me speak like this, please still love me.
They will love you.
And thank even more. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing, Will. You've been fantastic on my journey and my guide, and I've used your content and your meditations and your advice. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. We're in this together, and as usual, I'll put the links in the description of how people can connect with you on Instagram and your app. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, you have so much valuable content out there, and I really want people to find you and make use of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye. Much love. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you'd like to learn more about Alex's work, please visit his website, www.crockfitapp.com, and follow his live workouts on Instagram and his amazing content on YouTube. As usual, you'll find links in the description. And once again, if this has brought you value, please subscribe to my podcast and share it with your friends. As usual, keep shining your light, keep your heart open, and let love lead the way. I love you. See you in the next episode.